Who are the best teams ever? Simply the best teams to ever be on an NFL football field on today's NFL Six Pack.
This is Locked On's NFL Six Pack. 6 bold takes from 2 guys who just flat out know football. NFL experts Matt Williamson and Brian Peacock bring pure NFL talk. Great takes, no fluff, just honest football talk. Crack one open. It's NFL Six Pack on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to the NFL Six Pack. Brian Peacock and Matt Williamson. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We're talking the best teams ever. We're going to go through some of the top teams. I think there's some obvious teams that have to be on the list or in consideration, but are there some dark horse teams, Matt? Maybe even those that did not win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Are actually 6 of the best teams ever as we build our six pack of the top 6 teams in NFL history. Today's episode of NFL Six Pack brought to you by FanDuel. The biggest stage in world soccer is here. Let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started now. And for us getting started in our six pack, I think we have to nominate the champagne sipping, undefeated,
no doubt,
Miami Dolphins of 1972, a perfect 14-0 record, 17-0 including the playoffs, coached by Don Shula, Larry Zonka. That was the no-name defense, but it was a very good defense, even though there wasn't a lot of household names, and a lot of those names we know more now because of their celebration of being that undefeated team and still continually being able to crack open the champagne for those players that are still with us from that football team. They have to be in consideration and are probably, unless they can be knocked off, Matt, I'm open to the idea that the 72 Dolphins are not on the list, but we got to start there.
Yeah. So I think you put them in and maybe we can talk ourselves out of pulling them out. And I'm sure people are like, what are you talking about? They were the perfect team. And I didn't realize this until doing a little bit of homework. They had the top-ranked offense and the top-ranked defense in the league that year.
Okay.
But they also shut out Washington in the Super Bowl, their offense. So they're obviously great. I think their star power is lacking. You know, Bob Greasy's a Hall of Fame quarterback, Zonka, but then it kind of runs out pretty quick. Paul Warfield was on that team. It was only 14 games. It wasn't 16 or 17. But you can only play who's in front of you. It's widely regarded that they played one of the easiest schedules in NFL history, too. People don't like to bring that up, but it wasn't Akron and New Mexico State either. I mean, They still played 14 NFL games and then deep into the playoffs.
Let me ask you this.
I think you put them there.
Let me ask you this, Matt. Let's say the 1972 Dolphins lost week 6 against the
Raiders or
whoever. Yeah. And they were a 13-1 team. Would we bring this team up? Would they be a team that we always bring up as the best team, one of the best teams of all time? Or would they be a team that, they won the Super Bowl like a lot of teams did?
I lean towards they would probably not even come up in this conversation, or maybe their name would come up, but it would definitely wouldn't start with them.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, that's just my feel. Again, I was born in 1973. I saw 0 snaps of this team. But
Same.
I mean, I'm based on history and reputation and Hall of Famers and things of that nature. They do not seem like the powerhouse they are portrayed to be. But if they end up in the six pack, I'm also not going to have a problem with it. I mean, they have a strong case.
They are currently in our six pack, but we've only talked about one football team right now. Can they get knocked out of the six pack? But I've put them in there, and they'll have to be crossed out because I'm using ink here. 1972 Dolphins are in for now, but we haven't talked about a lot of really good football teams.
I think there's one or two other obvious ones that you have to start with as well.
Well, one of the first teams I ever saw was the 1985 Chicago Bears.
That's the one I was going to say. Yeah.
They were 15-1 regular season team. They had the Super Bowl shuffle. They were a very memorable football team. They were not undefeated, but they were very close by one. Lost one game the entire way, won 3 playoff games, including the championship. And Walter Payton and Mike Ditka and a cast of characters. The team you can't forget. So they have both the marketing on their side, and they are a really good football team. They have the record on their side as well. And there was a lot of good football teams in the late '80s to be competing with.
Yeah. So this was the other obvious one for me, and I was 12, so I remember the dominance. I wasn't a football expert at the time, but I was pretty into it. I do remember their loss too was to a red hot in his prime Dan Marino. So
who just came off a Super Bowl appearance of their own the year before.
I mean, they were. Yeah. It was the marquee game of the season. I think it was on Monday Night Football when that was the only primetime game, and I mean, it was the headline game of the year. And from what I recall, Marino's quick release was like their kryptonite because they were such a pressure defense, that 46 defense that no one had ever seen before. And I don't know if you know this, but do you know why it's called a 46?
It's because of, is it Fensick?
Yeah. It's not like it's a 4-6, alignment or anything. It's just because Fensick made it all work for whatever reason. He was a key cog, so they named it after him, and he was one of the old guys on the team at the time.
A versatile like are we coming back? Are we just running the 46 defense now again in the NFL?
I think it was blitz like crazy. I think they covered every gap and blitzed Wilbert Marshall and Otis Wilson and those guys. They allowed 10 total points in 3 playoff games too. It's pretty good.
Wow, that is pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have to be in.
I think we both like the 85 Bears more than the 72 Dolphins right now.
Oh, yeah. I just think they were more dominant. I mean, I had rarely seen defense of that magnitude, and especially the way they played. I mean, quarterbacks had no chance. Free hitters all over the place.
I can't wait to hear from the Dolphins fans after this podcast because we're bad-mouthing the team. It was the first team we put in.
I know.
But we're not completely sold, as you can tell, but maybe we should be more sold on the 72 Dolphins. But they're in right now. We got 2 teams. And I think they both deserve to be here in consideration. We'll see if they can get knocked out as we go through this. The 72 Dolphins, the 85 Bears.
Yeah.
Now, I think we probably have to start talking dynasties as well.
I think so too,
Matt. And so the original dynasty was the Steelers. So who was the best Steelers team?
So if you look over this shoulder,
yes,
there's a bathroom behind me, and over the commode is the old school picture. A great place for it is the old school photos they used to take in the stadiums, in front of the scoreboard where they all stand on the bleachers, and everyone's it's all numeric.
Yeah.
Of the 1978 Steelers.
Okay.
And I always have a trivia question for anyone that uses the bathroom. I'm like, how many Hall of Famers are in that picture? The answer is 12. But it's a little bit misleading. There's 10 players that are in. There's Tony Dungy in his rookie year.
Oh.
And there's Chuck Noll.
Right. Okay. So 10 players. Dungy didn't get in as a player or really a Steeler, right?
No. He just got drafted by the Steelers. He was a backup defensive back.
I mean, 11's still pretty good. Is that
11's pretty good.
You don't count Dungy. 11 is still a record. Got to be, right?
And I didn't count Art or Dan Rooney, who were running the team at the time. Both are in as well. They're not in the picture.
Oh, they're not in the picture. Okay.
They're not in the picture. But it's a pretty dominant team because this is the point where their first 2 Super Bowls were Joe Green, Lambert, Franco, run the ball. But at this point, their last 2 Super Bowls, the offense had really caught up to the defense. And Bradshaw's chucking it downfield, the blonde bomber, Swan stalls, Franco's still in his prime. The defense is not slacking at any point. They were a dominant team. They were 17-2. They beat a really, really good Cowboys team that had Hall of Famers everywhere with Staubach in the Super Bowl. At the time, it was considered the best Super Bowl that we'd ever seen. I mean, that was early, but that was like, wow, this is the best football game we've ever seen.
Super Bowl 13.
I should know that off the top of my head,
Super Bowl 13, against the
Dallas. Yeah, it is. It is 13.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're really hard to dethrone. I mean, 10 Hall of Fame players is pretty strong.
Next, let's talk more dynasty. We have to mention some of these great.
I think there's a Niner team that's going to have a case too. Yeah,
I think the 49ers one is the most difficult to nominate which team because I think there's different arguments there. The New England Patriots dynasty, we have to talk about that, and the budding Kansas City Chiefs. dynasty maybe as well. A lot of powerhouse teams in the 1990s.
I say 90s Cowboy era too is pretty strong.
Consideration, absolutely. And we'll get to all those. What'll be our final 6 next? Today's episode of NFL Six Pack brought to you by Indeed. Workplace chaos, man, it could show up fast, and that's where Indeed Sponsored Jobs comes in. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach candidates who actually fit what you're looking for based on skills, experience, and location. Finding the right person can make all the difference, whether it's building a business or building a winning team. And some of the best moves organizations can make aren't always the splashiest ones. Sometimes it's that key cog, finding the person who fits exactly what is needed at the right moment. That's what stood out to me when it comes to building some of these great teams, right? And some of these amazing football teams is, putting Hall of Famers together is great. But if you don't have the glue guys that bring those Hall of Famers together, you still don't have a great football team. And you need candidates who are right and a great fit from the start. And you can find them on Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed here. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Continuing on in our 6-pack of the greatest teams of all time in NFL history. We've got 72 Dolphins, 85 Bears, 78 Steelers. That's half of the 6-pack. That means we only have 3 more slots unless one of those 3 teams gets knocked off here when we start breaking down some of the rest of this.
So real quick, BP, I think this is going, the more we talk through it, and the first segment obviously exemplifies this, I think this is going to favor the older teams more than the recent teams. And my logic is this, that the Steelers drafted 5 Hall of Famers in one draft. Well, they didn't have to re-sign them all the same year when they became free agents. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, there was no one stealing your dudes. When you had great players, they often retired as Dolphins or Steelers or Raiders in the 70s. I always joke, like, the Steelers' first-round pick in 1978 barely makes the team, let alone as a starter. If you're a first-round pick, now you're just an implied starter, and you better be a star. They're like the third-string tight end on those teams, Right.
Well, so one of the teams that the Steelers had to get by in their dynasty in the 70s was the Raiders, who were really good in that era. So let's talk about the 70s Raiders before we start to get to some of these other later dynasty teams in the 80s and 90s. The 1976 13-1 champion Oakland Raiders, I think, have to be in consideration.
I do too. I was looking at them too, and I think they have really strong consideration. When we did the teams that almost were, that didn't win it, the Raiders beat that Steelers team that was in an unbelievable defense. So the Raiders had a tough road. Ended up 16-1, 7 Hall of Famers on that team. Stabler. I mean, their offensive line was incredible with Upshaw and Shell. And so they were a really tough defense as well. I think they have a really strong case.
In the 1980s, the San Francisco 49ers went on a legendary run, 4 Super Bowls in the 80s. Mm-hmm. They added a 5th in the 1990s, the 94 Niners.
And I think that 94 team has a case.
So historically, the 84 team had the best record and statistically looks really good. And it was, young Montana. It was pre-Jerry Rice, though. But you have Bill Walsh, and it was a really good football team, 15-1 regular season team, and beat the Dan Marino Dolphins in the Super Bowl.
Great Super Bowl, yeah.
And then the 89 team was just a machine. And the 49ers nearly won 3 in a row in the late 90s. And to be honest with you, was close enough to winning 4 in a row. Like, they were just that good of a team where kind of penciled them into being at the end of the NFC playoffs. And the 89 team was the first Seifert year after Walsh walked away after winning in 88. And it was just the same team, and they just had a better record. And I don't know why it was a better record with, I don't think it was a better team necessarily. I actually am more fond of the 88 team. And if I had to take a team, I would take the team led by Bill Walsh that still has George Seifert running the defense in 88 than the 89 team. It's essentially the same team with the same players. Even though the record was better for the 89 team, and they usually get that credit. but better than all those teams in the 80s, including the 81 budding 49ers dynasty team. I think the 94 49ers
I thought so too.
is the best football team. And you have MVP Steve Young, as much as it hurts to not have Walsh in Montana on this list. The 94 Niners were crazy. You still had Jerry Rice. You had MVP Steve Young. They were a 13-3 team. They were doing battle, I think, with better competition with the Cowboys and Packers teams in the 90s. The NFC Championship was the Super Bowl in those days. And you bring over Deion Sanders in his prime for a year. You have Bryant Young, who was just amazing the moment he showed up with the San Francisco 49ers there. Ken Norton. And it was a stacked football team, offense, defense, Ricky Waters. It was the beginning of that, like, okay, we have to have a salary cap because these teams are getting too good. And that's the pinnacle of that was with the 94 49ers to me. Okay.
So I 100% agree. First off, I don't think in this instance we have to have a rule that only one Niners team has to go. I mean, I think maybe the Patriots will have an argument, but I think the Niners, even more so than the Steelers, have arguments for multiple years because they also kind of reinvented themselves too. I mean, there's different quarterbacks, there's different coaches.
And, it's a good point, Matt. I think maybe our six-pack should be 4 49ers teams, 2 Steelers teams. 2
Steelers teams.
What do you
just
think?
Get rid of everybody else, right? I'm just probably some listeners like they're going to do that. I've listened to the show long enough. Yeah.
My favorite team's the 88 team that gets lost because their record just wasn't as good. And I think the 94 team might be better than all of them, even though I think if you do this list and most people look at the numbers, look at the records, and they would put 84 or 89 in. I'm going to go 94.
I would go 94 as well. Now, at this point, young Matt Williamson is in college. I know a thing or two. I've been watching football my whole life. And if you recall, I'm just to kind of spin it back home, the AFC Championship game was Steelers versus Chargers. And it was here, and the Steelers were like a 16-point favorite and lost. It's like the biggest playoff loss in almost in NFL history. And my town was so distraught. And I wasn't as a college student because I'm like, the Niners or Cowboys are going to kick the crap out of us anyway. Like the Super Bowl was in the NFC that year, once again.
Yeah. And so you got to talk about the 92 Dallas Cowboys then as well. 13-3 football team.
Yes. I think they're definitely in consideration.
Yeah.
I mean, they have no weaknesses either. Like best O-line ever. Everyone knows about the trio of skill guys.
Yeah.
But even Alvin Harper is really good, and Novacek. I mean, those are like the fill in the blank pieces. Mm-hmm. Defense is loaded. I mean, and it's again, no weaknesses across the board. That's an extremely well-built team led by Jimmy Johnson too. Who's
the most even though they get talked about, the most underrated offensive line of all time with those Dallas Cowboys. And because Aikman and Emmitt Smith, the two, I'm going to say it because I grew up being a Dallas Cowboys hater, so I'm not afraid to put this out there. The most overrated players of all time, Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith. There you go.
I mean, there were some arguments in that time, like around here, was it Woodson or Dion?
Yeah.
But like nationally, it was, like there's Ed Reed and Palomalu and things like that. But there was always Emmett versus Barry. And I'm like, it's not even close. Barry behind that line ran for 2,500 yards.
I totally agree there. Yeah. And it's not that those players weren't good. It's just that
they're great.
I think the other parts of that team are lost in how good they were. And it's funny because you got Ken Norton, who ends up on the 49ers team that I nominated. He was on this team too. So those two teams were stealing from each other in the 90s. Charles Haley. He was on the 80s teams we're talking about, then gets traded to the Dallas Cowboys. And so it just powerhouse teams, and you can't get wrong nominating any of those teams from the late 80s, early 90s, and some of them shared DNA with Charles Haley, as we all know, is the secret to winning a Super Bowl in that era.
Yeah, I found that Dallas team interesting because, frankly, I kind of look at them of what they could have been. They won 2 in a row, but I thought they should have won 4 in a row. I mean, they were so dominant. And yes, they beat the Steelers a couple of years later with Switzer, but that was not the same powerhouse type team. They were fading quick.
And then they ran into both the Niners and the Cowboys ran into the 96 Packers.
And Favre, and
who we've got to mention is the 96 Packers. I mean, that was a stacked football team as well in the 90s. Another 13-3 team. It wasn't as easy to go 14, 15, 16-0 back in those days.
No, right. So speaking undefeated, I do think we have to have a conversation about the undefeated until the Super Bowl Patriots.
Yes.
Because I think that's their best team. But
how about this for a
debatable.
statement? The 2007 New England Patriots, who are when we did a 6-pack of best teams that did not win a Super Bowl, the Patriots of 07 were one of the easiest ones. And they needed the New York Giants needed a lot of magic to even beat them in the Super Bowl, right?
Yes,
it wasn't like
they had to be like 10-point favorites.
Yeah.
Or more
so here's the question. Is the 2007 Patriots better than if you put them out on a football field against the 1972 Dolphins? Are the Pats better, even though they did not win a championship?
I think they were better for their respective season. You know, I didn't mean to brush it off. Were you nominating the Favre?
I think I've kind of nominated those teams. Which ones get in of the 90s teams? Actually, so if you had who gets in if you could only have one of those 90s teams, and maybe we can have multiple, but 92 Cowboys, 94 49ers, 96 Packers.
Packers would be last for me of those.
I think I agree there, as good as they are.
But they were great. Reggie White, you know.
Yeah. I would lean toward the 49ers because of the quarterback, probably, because I just think Steve Young was a lot better than Troy Aikman. But the 92 Cowboys, and again, some shared DNA there. Norton was on both those teams.
I think they're both going to be hard to keep out.
Dion was on the 49ers.
I think the two 90s teams we highlighted are going to be in the 6-pack.
Okay, so maybe both of them are in there, and right now I've written them down. So, and I'm going to not write the Packers into the 6-pack. That means we only have one spot left. If both,
I thought we had it full. Did we do that Raiders team from the 70s?
Raiders, I nominated them, but I didn't write them in because I wasn't sure if they were going to end up making it or not. 6-pack's getting full. Can anybody penetrate our best team ever in NFL history? 6-pack next. Today's episode of the NFL 6-Pack is brought to you by FanDuel. The biggest stage in world soccer is here, and every match feels like it has the potential for a memorable moment. You can feel the anticipation as the ball gets closer to one goal or the other, and one goal can completely change the energy of a game. Speaking of goals, every goal pays. Momentums shift when you are on FanDuel, and that's what makes tournament soccer so exciting from the opening whistle to the final kick. And now FanDuel is giving fans another reason to stay locked into every match with every goal pays. Bet on a match and get bonus bets for every goal scored in that match. For example, 4 goals, 2 goals, 6 total in 2 games for Team USA. Can they do it again against Turkey? More goals means more bonus bets. All you have to do is turn on your token. And man, we've seen all these matches. Sometimes it's scoreless and what feels like forever. Then one goal completely flips the game. Suddenly everyone's pressing, crowd comes alive. Final 20 minutes becomes much watch television. And you can be a part of all of it from opening whistle to final kick. Let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started now. Right now I have Dolphins, 72, 85 Bears, 78 Steelers, 94 Niners, 92 Cowboys, and then I have in consideration 76 Raiders, 96 Packers.
Okay, I think 96 Packers can get scratched then.
Okay.
I would put the Raiders ahead of them. I would put the Patriots that were almost undefeated ahead of them.
Okay. So Patriots versus Raiders then for our current 6th spot.
I think that's fair. I would throw in the greatest show on turf.
I was going to nominate them next.
Oh, were you?
1999 St. Louis Rams, 13-3.
I mean, they were unbelievably dynamic and different than anything we'd seen. They barely won the Super Bowl. Maybe I'd hold that against them a little. But, I mean, they had Orlando Pace and Warner before we knew he was good, and Falk and Holt and Bruce. And was it Hakeem was their third receiver?
Hakeem,
yeah, right.
I mean,
that's a pretty strong group, man.
It's hard to argue about the offense. Defensively, can they hang the rest of these Super Bowl teams? I would probably have them just on the outside. They're a little bit more of a sideshow team where it was like, man, that was awesome, but they weren't as sustained as the rest of these teams, which tells me these other teams deserve it a little bit more.
And I do hold against them. Part of their name is playing in a dome and on turf. You know, like, they weren't built to go to Green Bay and win the NFC Championship, you know?
They were a little bit like the 84 Dolphins.
Yes. Or I always thought
they won it, and the Dolphins didn't, right?
Right, exactly. And the game was in, the Super Bowl was in a dome. I think that they had home field advantage all the way through, so they didn't have to go to like the Giants or some terrible weather team, you know? But
and a little
strong.
bit like the team that made our best to not win the Super Bowl, that Minnesota Vikings team as well.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Yeah.
So they have a case, but I don't think that I can put them over the 17-1 Patriots.
Yes, I wouldn't put them over the Raiders. I wouldn't put over the Patriots. Is it Raiders and Patriots for you? 07 Pats. And here, but there's how many Super Bowls did the Patriots win? Are we going to put the 07 Pats that didn't win over the teams that did win? Because those teams lost only a couple games themselves anyway. So you got the 04 Patriots that were 14-2.
I just don't remember any offense being close to as good as that one with Welker and Moss. The defenses might have been better.
It was a scarier team. What about the Gronk 2016 Patriots that were 14-2?
They're all awesome. I mean, if we had a Patriots expert like we are Niners and Steelers, maybe they would say that's not the team. But
I bet a Patriots expert would say that 07 Patriots were the best team.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I mean,
if you are
they were like the best team I'd ever seen.
We want to hear from you. Let us know at Peacock, at Williamson NFL in the YouTube comments. Get involved in this week's mailbag, by the way. 07 Patriots. Okay. 07 Patriots versus 76 Raiders. I think that's the competition for the last spot currently until we nominate another team.
I'm so old. I was at ESPN in 07 doing podcasts and saying, this is the best team I've ever seen. You know, like week 12 or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. 07 Patriots. They might be the team that makes both best team.
They can knock the Dolphins out.
Well, so if you knock the Dolphins out, then that means the 76 Raiders and the Patriots you're having in over the 72 Dolphins.
It seems a little blasphemous.
I would give the nod to 72 Dolphins over 76 Raiders.
How about a second Niners team over the Dolphins? I think the Dolphins are our weakest team in the six-pack right now.
I can buy it. I mean, the Patriots didn't win the Super Bowl, so they didn't complete. They didn't stick the landing, but they're
no doubt
up there as far as how good their team was.
Yeah, I just remember watching them week after week, going like, no one's going to beat these guys ever.
Are we done nominating? I got to throw a few other names out there. Those Mike Shanahan, Elway, Denver Broncos.
Yeah, their running game was ridiculous.
Yes.
How about the Chiefs with Mahomes? Best team.
Yeah, which Chiefs Mahomes team? Because all of them were very highly contested seasons, but they they came out on top so many times. And which is the best version of those teams?
I don't know if there is one. They all seem sort of equal to me. That there wasn't, because all the same guys. It's all Tyreek, Kelsey, Jones, Mahomes. You know, for this era, it's not like, or your Niners eras where it's like different quarterbacks, or Haley was on this team, but he wasn't on that team, or Seifert, and you know, like it's all the same dudes kind of doing the same stuff. Which doesn't mean they're bad. It's just I don't have one team that stood out more than the others.
All right, I'm gonna let's go through these just real quick on the Chiefs teams. We've got.
I mean, I pulled up a list just to kind of help me here, and the one they have mentioned is 2019.
Because so you have. I would kind of lean there as well, because you have Mahomes, who's already playing at an MVP level, even though it's only year 3 of his career. Second year as a full.
Oh, yeah. He's definitely an MVP.
But you have Kelsey, you have Tyreek, you have Chris Jones, right? So you have all those pieces, and they haven't been pulled apart by free agency yet.
Yeah, I definitely want Tyreek on a KC nominator team.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, he was terrifying. He was Randy Moss terrifying.
19 Chiefs it is.
But I don't know if that's enough to get in the 6.
Yeah, I might not have them in there.
I don't think I would.
Because, what are you talking about? Okay, so they have some great defensive pieces. They have a playmaker. They have an MVP quarterback. So do all these teams.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's not unique. Yeah. I mean, they were incredible, and their dynasty's unique in a way, especially for this era, in the free agency era.
Now, say what you want about the quarterback. The 2000 Baltimore Ravens were dominant in a different way.
Yeah, I thought about them too. There's a couple, or that Denver team with Peyton Manning that had a ridiculous defense as well.
Yeah.
I just think the offenses are holding you back a little. Kind of like the Rams D when we talk about the greatest show on turf. Like they're a little too one-sided to be one of the 6 best teams that's ever been assembled in NFL history. I mean, that's a pretty prestigious honor.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so none of the Chiefs teams are going to make it. We've got one from all the dynasties in our list right now.
Mm-hmm.
The big question has become, I think, for us, if the 19 Chiefs aren't going to penetrate the six-pack, the 96 Packers aren't going to penetrate the six-pack, 76 Raiders are right now, I think, 7. Do you put 76 Raiders over the 07 Patriots, 92 Cowboys, 94 Niners, 78 Steelers, 85 Bears, or 72 Dolphins?
No, I feel bad leaving the Raiders off, but I think they're off.
Okay, there it is.
They're an easy 7. They're a super strong number 7.
Mm-hmm. That's our six-pack then. It's the in chronological order. It's this 1972 undefeated Miami Dolphins. As much as we badmouthed them, they were the first name on the list, and they stayed and they remain undefeated. So crack that champagne, boys. We got the 78 Steelers, the 85 Bears, the 92 Cowboys, the 94 49ers. And look, I host Locked On 49ers. I want to hear from the 49ers fans. Did we
throw it out there.
We picked the right 49ers teams. Should we knock the Cowboys off with another 49ers team? Let us know. I think I know where the Niners fans are going to vote on that one. And the 07 non-Super Bowl champion, New England Patriots. There's the six-pack.
I think they win that game against the Giants 9 out of 10 times, though.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think they do.
If they played it the next day, they win.
Or the day before.
Or the day before.
Or just play it again.
Just be playing it over and over and over.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking what catches off the helmet.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what's awesome about this sport. Love it. Everybody check out the Everydayer Club as well. Ad-free audio episodes of this show, an invite to a chat with hosts and fans. And if you are an everydayer, it is built for you. Go to NFL6pack.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes. Get your questions in for this week's Thursday mailbag episode at BD Peacock, at Williamson NFL, or in the YouTube comments. Subscribe while you're there. And Matt and I back tomorrow right here, the NFL Six Pack.